This touching story is called The Abandoned Cabin. A long time ago in the snowy mountains of Switzerland, a little boy got lost during a terrible storm. He was alone, scared, and wet. Suddenly, he saw an old abandoned cabin nearby. Shit. So he ran over and quickly hid inside. Just as he did, the wind started howling like a hungry wolf and the rain began to pour. The little boy curled up on the floor and closed his eyes tight, hoping that the storm would pass soon. But then he heard a loud crash. Something big had just broken through the wall and was now standing right in front of him. Boom! The little boy opened his eyes and gasped. It was a huge lion. Its fur was the color of dried blood and its eyes were shining like golden coins. The lion let out a deep growl that shook the cabin. It took a step closer, and the little boy thought it was going to pounce on him and eat him up. But then something unbelievable happened. Caw. The dog suddenly stood up and barked furiously at the lion. Startled by the sudden noise, the lion took a step back. The dog then did something even more amazing. It smashed through a window and disappeared into the raging storm. The lion hesitated for a moment. Then it turned around and walked away. When the boy saw that the lion was gone, he ran over to the window and looked outside. He couldn't see the dog anywhere. Just then, the storm suddenly stopped. The clouds parted and the sun came out from behind them, making beautiful rainbows in the sky. The little boy ran outside, leaving the abandoned cabin behind. He wanted to find the dog and tell him how grateful he was for saving his life. But when he looked around, he couldn't see the dog anywhere. All he saw was a small red and white doghouse in the corner of an old farmer's yard. As the little boy approached the doghouse, he heard a tiny meow. He looked inside and saw a small kitten. The kitten was only a few weeks old and had bright blue eyes. The little boy picked the kitten up and stroked its soft fur. Then he realized that this wasn't just any ordinary kitten. It was a real-life magic kitten. The kitten had saved him from the ferocious lion. You see, in the mountains of Switzerland, there's a legend about a magical tribe of cats. They can turn into lions whenever they feel threatened, and they often appear as tiny kittens to help those who are lost or in danger. The little boy knew he had been very lucky to find the kitten, and he named her Lucky. From that day on, Lucky became the little boy's best friend. They played together every day in the fields and forests near his home. And whenever the boy felt sad or lonely, he knew that Lucky was always there for him. Many years passed and the boy grew up to be a strong and kind young man. He never forgot his adventure with Lucky, the magic kitten, Kungi. And he often told the story to his friends, who always thought it was the most amazing tale ever. But as time went on, the young man began to feel a bit bored with his life in the village. He wanted to see the world and have new experiences. So one day he packed a bag and set off on a journey. He traveled all over the countryside, visiting new places and meeting interesting people. But no matter where he went, he always missed his home and his friends, especially Lucky. She wondered if she was still his cat and if she remembered him. One day, the young man decided to go back to the village. He wanted to see Lucky and tell her all about his adventures. But when he got to her house, he found a note hanging on the door. Ted said, "I'm sorry, but we're not home right now. Please leave a message." The young man was very disappointed. He didn't want to leave a message. He wanted to see Lucky right now. So he sat down on the porch and waited, and waited, and waited. But the family never came home. The young man was sad, but he knew he couldn't stay there forever. So he stood up and started walking slowly down the road. Chaos. As he walked, he thought about all the fun times he'd had with Lucky. He remembered how she used to chase butterflies in the meadow, climb. How she loved to climb trees and how she would curl up on his lap while he read a book. A small smile appeared on his face. He was glad he'd had such a wonderful cat for a friend. And that's when he heard a familiar meow. He turned around and saw Lucky running towards him. She was older now and her fur was a bit grayer, but her eyes were still as blue as the summer sky. The young man couldn't believe it. Could it really be Lucky? "Kia, is that you?" he asked. Clack. And she ran over and rubbed against his leg, purring loudly. Shim. The young man picked her up and hugged her tightly. Ki was so happy to see her again. "I've missed you so much," he whispered. And Lucky purred even louder. She was happy to see her friend again, too. Then they started walking together slowly down the road, two old friends, enjoying the simple pleasure of each other's company. They didn't know what the future would bring, but they didn't care. They were just happy to be together.